Okay, Colin, something happened last night. Did anything important happen last night, Colin?
As I said, I think there were two old men yelling
Yeah, I
or
guess so.
something that seemed important,
Something
but
like that. I don't even. Here's the thing, okay? But we got a couple of videos here, some snippets of it, right? And this is stuff that all of you have seen. But we do, and I will play them in full entirety, but we'll add our commentary afterwards. But I want to say this to everyone that gave me and Daniel and Hardlands Media and everyone in independent media, INN, Jimmy Dore, everybody, all of us, to these liberals out there, especially in 2020, when you were bullying us and yelling at us and getting us censored and shadow banned and silenced, saying that if we don't support Biden, Trump's going to be a problem. Well, what's it like knowing that we were factually correct, calling out that there was something wrong physically and mentally with Biden? What's it like knowing now that the whole world, you can't deny it now. There's no spinning it. Biden did himself in, and dare I say it, I think the Democrats probably could have done this on purpose. I don't know what's going to happen at the convention in Chicago in August, but let's say Democrats, you decide to pick somebody to be Biden's successor. You have July, August, September, October. That's 4 months. 4 months of hitting somebody new on the ground right now to actually get voters enthusiastic to support them. It's too little too late. You should have done this not mid last year. You should have done this in the beginning of 2023, the very beginning of it, finding somebody to replace Biden. But no, you didn't, Democrats. And you know what? The whole world is out there to see it. And here, case in point, I want to start this off because I am going to be an insufferable prick. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care if you're crying. I don't care, liberals, if you're afraid of Donald Trump. This was your dog, your old dog. And here he is in its full display. Joe, give us some of that hard-hitting facts, baby.
We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Now, I saw the crystal ball reaction to that.
Yeah, I did too.
Well, wait. Here's where Donald Trump agrees with Biden, though.
President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
My God. He just went down like that.
Well, here's the thing. He did cut Medicare for people during the pandemic. And once the pandemic was over, people who had Medicare, now we know that it's not great, but at least it offered some comfort for families who needed it during that time. But once pandemic over, states were basically given the green light to cut off that funding. So there's more people now probably who are in need of health insurance that now can't afford it, given that jobs suck right now in terms of wages and healthcare is expensive. So he did in a way. And funny how interesting that Trump didn't make that connection. And he probably should have said that if he had any sense. But I mean, I knew it was going to be bad, so I had no interest in watching this because I didn't want to waste my time. I'm not going to vote for either one of these clowns. And you know me, I am very much against electoralism anyway. So November, I'm even lucky if I have the effort to go vote for ballot initiatives in DC, and that's probably the extent of what I'm going to do. But
I encourage you to do that, at least for
ballot. I
initiatives.
definitely will do that. But the idea now that, and I think we said this off camera before we went live, that now, at least online, that there are people who are now being very obstinate and basically being like, you have to vote for Biden. Like, screw the debate. It was just a debate. Like everyone has an off day, giving every excuse other than we've seen this pattern from Biden since 2020, if not prior. And and he's gotten worse in terms of how incoherent but it's sad. As you said, it's sad. It's really sad. Like he should not be leading the country. He should be retired and being home. Like he should not have done this at all.
Well, the thing is that there's another thing too. Now, for those of you who don't know, we have our studio 99 Perspectives, and myself and Daniel with our editor Phase. We've done a lot of editing with videos and microphones, and it's important to have good audio, like how you have with your microphone. You guys do audio checks all the time, so you know the business. Anyone that does podcasting commentary on YouTube, it is a huge deal. The thing is, when I played the video how CNN was going to control the mute because they were concerned that Trump was going to be interrupting Biden, Trump didn't do that. But Biden's voice was so frail and so weak, CNN had to up the microphone volume as high as you can go to where they're getting back feed from Donald Trump even talking. That's how weak Biden's voice was. And if anyone was paying attention to that, if you know audio, that you would have heard Trump speaking back feed on Biden's microphone because his voice was so low and so weak because he's not strong. Well, look, when you get to your 80s, you know, you're not in your prime, but the microphone also caught something else, and more people heard this too. I want to play this.
He never took him away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous.
Did you hear that?
No, play it again.
Listen very carefully. You're going to hear a squirt.
It took him away. He can't because it's too much money.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
One more time in case anyone missed it. That's Biden's microphone, people.
Took him away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous.
But it's even worse than that. More of his stuttering and stammering right here.
What's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
When I have to agree with Trump, and when you realize that they had to up the gain and the volume on Biden's microphone, Democrats, how pathetic do you have to be here? I know that you want to add a few things in this as well, because I got a couple more videos where they talk about golf, but also they spend only 1 minute talking about the crisis in Gaza. But this is a frail old man. Yeah, around that. That's yeah. Listen, this was two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. They didn't bring anything of value. This is how pathetic American elections are in this country. So go ahead. I know I want to give you.
Again, I didn't watch this, so a lot of these clips, actually, a couple of those are new to me. So I'm gonna ask your audience for help here. But I'm just wondering, anyone who was brave enough to watch the debate, did Biden mention anything regarding policy at all in terms of allegedly building upon anything that he accomplished in his words, accomplished in this term that he will want to improve on or build upon? Because it just seems like so much attention on this debate was just having both of them be somewhat coherent, that people didn't care or seemingly didn't care about policy. And that's kind of the thing that really pisses me off about these debates, is that not any future policy, no. People are treating this like sports, and politics is not sports. That's kind of why, especially in terms of electoral politics, I just kind of tuned out, because even among just regular schmegular people who are very much into politics, they treat it as if blue team, red team. I have to support the blue team even when it's very visible that they're wrong. And I have to shit on the red team because the red team is bad or whatever. But when it comes to policy, this is affecting people's lives.
You
So
want
I
policy?
really, sure.
Do you want policy?
Yeah.
Here. This was probably the most coherent thing, and I'm being generous here. I know everyone, don't get mad, but this is probably the most coherent thing they talked about regarding to policy, and it has to deal with a little known place called Gaza and the conflict that's happening there. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry, folks. I'm sure we got responsible individuals here. 1 minute, 52 seconds. I think it's only fair we play in its full entirety. It's, oh God. Brace yourself, Colin. Just brace yourself.
Okay.
Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan they put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war.
Pause,
No
Kit.
one wants the war to continue.
Go ahead, my friend.
Didn't Israel reject his plan?
Yes, it did. And we talked about it. INN's talked about it. Do dissidents. Everybody has across the political spectrum. Hell, even the libertarians, Larry Sharp, everybody's been talking about it. So yes, but Israel rejected this. Israel is against a 2-state solution. We all know this. There's not going to be a, hey, hold on. Let's just put this right here. Folks, hey, there's not going to be a 2-state solution. I'm returning you back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, people are talking about Trump lying and all this kind of stuff, but people are not even noticing that or even care that Biden made that proposal. Oh, by the way, he technically didn't, because that proposal was made a month ago, or when based on when they did it. I think like back in April or May, in connection with Egypt and Qatar, and Hamas accepted that offer. Then Hamas accepted several ceasefire offers, and Israel has rejected all of them in the guise of, oh, we need to defeat you in order for us to do anything. But at this point, it's a question of, do you want to beat Hamas or do you want to save lives? And right now, Biden doesn't seem to be that concerned in saving any lives, whether Palestinian or Israeli, because all the bombs that are going off, that Israel's sending off, are going to affect the hostages too.
Yeah.
So it's like, aren't you willing to put in a ceasefire that Hamas has said several times that they're willing to do in order to protect the Israeli hostages? And Netanyahu said himself he doesn't give a damn about the hostages. To him, it's just they're just collateral damage in order to beat Hamas. So really, Dana here should have pushed back on Biden, basically being like, they made several offers.
CNN was never going to do that, man.
No, but we know that both Tapper and Dana are full raging Zionists, so they're never going to say that. But the idea that Biden is basically going off and kind of repeating talking points that Netanyahu has said, I am not fucking interested in those things, is very disingenuous here. But people are talking about Trump and his lies. Biden just basically
he's lying.
lied here in kind of saying plans that were already rejected.
Exactly.
Continue as Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. Man. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot. You delivered them. They're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world.
And here's the thing, man. Like, Trump was just too nice. If there's any takeaway from this, he was too nice. But in all, if I have to give my analysis, just a fast forward to this, he did win. But you want to know what took precedent, Colin? Do you want to know what took precedent? I got 2 videos for you. Just 2 highlights of the shit show that was the presidential debate. First of all, this is by far the most childish thing. Everyone's talking about the golf clubs, right? But hey, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Russell Brand because this video here only 35 seconds. Everyone, just this is play school ground mentality.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number 1. Number 2, that was a case that was started.
Colin, are you all right? Colin, are you okay? Tell me you're okay, Colin.
I mean, if we want to get all gross, you're talking about Trump having sex with a porn star. Biden, didn't you shower with your daughter?
Oh, why, Colin? You had to bring that nightmare up.
Like Trump, you're talking about Trump having sex with a porn star. Biden, Tara Reid would like to have a talk with you in regards to how you sexually assaulted her.
Oh, there's 8 other women.
And you admit
there are 8 other women who've also said that Biden harassed them too.
So again, and honestly, if Trump was any smarter, he should have thrown him back on those things. If you're going to be petty like that, he should have Trump should have been petty back. But again, what was the point of even mentioning that?
Trump didn't have to do anything during this debate. If there's anything to take away from this, that is there are a couple of winners, and I will be mentioning the RFK Jr. debate, which did take place. But the winners are really, first of all, number 1, independent media. Colin, you, me, and all of our colleagues, and yes, even our viewing audience watching us live right now, and when this video is clipped too, you're also a winner, because we were finally, I mean, we already knew it, but this is just like such a delicious meal to enjoy, and I am feasting. We're going to enjoy this show because, look, Biden is senile. He's as blind as an old bat. And the thing is, here's another thing that superseded Israel and the crisis and our economic situation here and the unchecked corruption. Do you want to know what these 2 guys really fought about? Golf.
I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's it. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you can carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. It's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap. 8. But I had, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing. Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21.
Let's not act like children.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 individuals running for the highest office of the land. Is this the best we can do when you have an unchecked corruption that infests a republic and you get stuck with an oligarchy? Yes, this is the best we can do, I think. that we got the bottom of the barrel. Colin, what's it like knowing that someday you'll be speaking to the next generation? You'll be teaching a class, and they'll be asking you, Teacher Colin, what was it like when you saw Trump and Biden debate? And all of a sudden, you're going to get flashbacks, like Vietnam flashbacks to this moment where they're arguing about golf scores and handicaps. I mean, Biden, we know you're handicapped, Biden. We know that.
You said it. I'll tell you who the real winners are. The real winners are people who did not give a damn and went on with their lives and did not watch, honestly, because this is embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea that these are allegedly two of our best candidates
Yep.
to rule essentially the world. This is what we get.
Yeah. Oh.
And it pains me that, and if you're thinking in terms of a binary choice, this is what you got, America. Yeah. Like, this is abuse. Like, you're talking about elder abuse. This is abuse that we have to suffer with one of these two choices, ideally, for the next 4 years. So we are the ones who are being abused. Mm-hmm. Forget them, they don't care, because at the end of the day, regardless, they're going to be comfortable like within the DC/elite bubbles that they're in. So whatever happens is not going to affect them personally, other than maybe a yelling from their constituency like every now and then, but they don't care. But we have to suffer the effects of it. And we have to deal with the repercussions of what they're currently doing and what they plan to do, depending on who it is once they're in office. Mm-hmm. This is abuse for us, not them.
Mm-hmm. Now, I also want to pull up another video here, too, because there's so much, but I think there's a couple I'm going to skip over. I'm going to definitely pull up the closing arguments. But here is his statement on Social Security, because after all, Social Security is kind of important to senior citizens. Jake Tapper, go ahead, give us that home run homer.
President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
Yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making up.
Didn't Bernie Sanders say that and you chopped him off the knees? Right. Well, Bernie being the cuck that he did, he allowed that to happen.
$170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck, from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
I just want to say, I might have to raise the volume up even on these clips.
Yeah, it's hard even to hear him here.
They raised up his gain so high. His voice was so feeble and weak, man.
By increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing will do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact wanting to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous.
That was his plan. And he still had 82 seconds. Still had extra 82 seconds, and he can't make his case. So there's a couple other videos out there. So many clips out there. I mean, I know you guys at INN and a few other people are going to be talking about it too. We could be here all day because we got a lot more things to break apart from this debate. But I want to just give you guys his closing statement.
Okay.
This is elder abuse, and no, like, again, I find what is happening to Biden to be crazy. And again, I just think of my family members. I think we've all had family members go through Alzheimer's and dementia, and on a clear decline. We are all going to go through it. But what this country is going through, this is extremely abusive of what the Democrats have done. I don't care if Trump wins the presidency. It doesn't matter to me who sits on the throne. What matters to me is how we as a nation are going to be viewed, because the whole world is looking at us right now and thinking, this is your commander in chief. Here's his closing words.
And everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years, because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your
and everything.
Now, the thing is, I want to read Pittsburgh dude who says Trump wasn't too nice. He strategically got out of the way and let Biden stumble over himself.
Yeah.
Colin,
Yeah.
did you
Yeah,
understand anything that Biden said?
Somewhat. Child tax credit, he dropped that. And I could speak into that because
Go ahead.
I've been advocating for that in DC this past year through my organization to try and get district child tax credit here. Biden dropped that like during his administration, but he was like, we need to have basically child tax credit. Dude, you dropped that. Why did you allow that to drop to begin with? Number one. Yeah. Number two, like, honestly,
it's okay. Breathe.
But yeah, he talked about seniors. That's great. What about insulin for everybody? Like, well, no, you would think that would be the logical next step if you want to do this incremental bullshit. You know, like, you should be talking about universal health care for everybody, or even the public option, which you claimed that you supported and you were going to fight for once you got into office. Like, where is that bullshit? So we basically have resorted to going from a public option to now celebrating over the idea that you cap the cost of insulin for seniors, which is fine. And look, my mom's affected by this because my mom is a diabetic. She needs insulin, you know, it's helpful for her, but like, what about everyone else? So it's just the idea of like, people take these itty bitty wins and take like as these lesser than what we want and being excited over that, other than pushing them to demand more. And that's what really pisses me off. It's like, you're essentially celebrating crumbs, but it's like, there is no talk of how you're going to build or expand or maybe include more if you're going to talk about it on a minimal level. And Biden didn't do any of that from what I could hear. You know, Trump is not going to do any of that shit anyway, but you're supposed to talk about policy that will make Trump irrelevant. And that's the thing that I've been saying during this administration. Trump should not even be a thing.
But they can't help talking about him. They can't. But here's why he is a thing. It's because when you have people in power and say that this is great work, I want to give you the final note with this one, folks. This is Jill Biden, the wife of Joe Biden. I don't feel sorry for these people, but I feel secondhand embarrassment. And I just can't help but think, you know, this is clearly a family of mentally challenged sociopathic individuals.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lied! Yes.
He doesn't know where he's at. My goodness. Look, liberals, if this is your guy, I'm going to give my Logan Roy quote from Succession. If you haven't seen that show, Colin, I recommend you do get a chance. It's a great show. I love you, liberals. Liberals, I love you, but you are not serious people. And
No,
you never will be. They're not.
no.
That was the Trump versus Biden debate. Trump didn't have to lift a finger. The people who won, of course, are us, independent media. We called this out 4 years ago. To some extent, RFK Jr. and Donald Trump, because Biden did himself in. The biggest losers, Bernie Sanders, you nutless cuck. What's it like knowing that you gave it up for your good friend Joe Biden himself, the Democrats? All I could say is Chicago's going to be one hell of a event in August. And we
Well,
here at Heartlands Media are going to be covering it. Go ahead. You have the final word.
that depends how it's going to be interesting. And I know you're going to report on this,
Mhm.
given that the DNC is going to be in your hometown. But like, it's going to be interesting how things are going to play out over the next few weeks. That's going to lead up to that,
Mhm.
because things like I could see things going in different ways.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past the Democratic Party to be as demonic as they are and put their heads in the sand and like, we're going with Joe. And in a way, it kind of makes sense, because this kind of proves that Biden is not offering anything or doing anything for the benefit of the country. Like, he's basically handled by corporations that are essentially doing the work on his behalf. So he really doesn't have to do shit other than just be like a statesman and just not keel over, basically. And there's no telling that he won't even do that within the next few weeks. So, so it's going to be very interesting to see the spin and what the Democratic Party is going to do. But meanwhile, you said it, like, there are plenty of people who are now basically being like, Biden's our guy. Okay. But if
Well, I'm not
event,
voting for him.
I'll be very interested to see what they're going to say if in the event he is switched out.
Yeah. I think because I remember having this conversation with Keaton a few months ago when I co-hosted on Due Distance. Keaton, if you're watching, you probably are. You told me that you're watching. Hey, hats off to you. I think you've been proven correct, because I can't see how the Democrats are not going to replace Biden.